Well, thank you, Mark and Praise, for the response there. Question was for both, so we'll move on to Creationist Crybaby. And CC's got a question for Mark. Do you think emotions co evolved with morality in apes as a survival mechanism?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Creationist Crybaby, you're awesome. Such good questions. Yeah, so I think emotions did co-evolve. That things like our fear response, right? We see something that we need to pump adrenaline to either escape or fight, kind of thing. It triggers a fear response, which leads to either escape or anger, which allows us to sort of deal with that threat, kind of thing. That probably developed first, but these emotions of empathy, for instance, definitely came about sort of as we became a social species rather than an individualistic thinking species. Um, but it was probably other emotions that did develop first that we do see more prevalent among solitary hunters in animals.
Appreciate it, Mark. Praise, floor is yours.
Yeah, I think this dangerously encroaches upon what we call the naturalistic fallacy. It's good because it's natural. And things like moral goodness, badness, they're not evolvable. Like they are what they are. They are non-reductive. They're immaterial. You can't discover them through the scientific method. They're normative. So, I mean, I just think, it's a malformed question, but anyway, I'll leave it there.
Mark, you get the last word. Go ahead.
Last one. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up naturalistic fallacy because you seem to be using it. Either you're using it wrong or misapplying it to what we're saying, because nobody is sort of saying that some of these responses are actually a good thing because they're natural. Take the fear response, for instance, which sort of triggers if you see a darkened alley where you're not, you hear a noise down it, kind of thing. It's not a good thing that happens in modern society, not necessarily good. Because you're jumping at things that may not in fact be there. And we're not saying that just because it's natural, it's good. What we're saying is that it developed alongside cooperative species. Like, you have no obligation to be cooperative with the rest of humanity. However, you're not going to last long in that society if you're not cooperative.
Mark, thank you for the final word. Creationist Crybaby, appreciate the question. CC's now got a question for Praise. So the question is, if evolution is true, wouldn't animals with altruistic traits survive better than ones without them?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you look at the lion eating the lamb or whatever other creatures it eats out there, it survives basically on violence, not altruism. I mean, this it's pretty brutal out into the wild. I mean, I see snakes eat things. I see even bugs. They'll even kill things like spiders. Like, I don't see any altruism at all. And if there's like weird instances, like it's an anomaly. Usually, it's an anomaly. Like, maybe sometimes I've actually seen some weird things. Like, I've actually seen a lion actually go to a baby deer and like lick it and stuff, and they didn't kill it. So I don't know what's going on with it, but I don't see it. I don't see the altruism in any evolutionary process. But I'll hand it to Mark.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so that is true, but it was animals with social tendencies. So altruistic traits seem to form more in animals with social structure rather than animals without it. Praise is completely wrong. In fact, hippos save zebras from crocodiles a lot of the time just because they don't like crocodiles thriving. So altruism can occur through selfishness. So if I want the best society for myself, then it behooves me to be altruistic towards others because it gets you to a better society. So if evolution is true, we would expect social animals with altruistic traits to survive better and solitary animals without altruistic traits to survive better. And that is exactly what we see.
Thank you, Mark. Praise, you get the last word this time. Question was for you.
Yeah, I mean, ask a bear if he cares whether if he has any emotional sentiment to another animal. Like he's gonna rip their heads off and eat it. What about the Komodo dragon? It actually eats creatures backwards and slowly does it while they are crying and moaning in pain. So where's the altruism there? I'm sorry, no, Mark. I mean, that's just special pleading. And you can't say you can't get even like something that's descriptive. You can't get something that's prescriptive of it anyway. So it's pretty useless.